Hello, everyone. Welcome to this round one top 64 match between Acktheboker and azder. Azder was able to take game one in this set, whereas Acktheboker took the second game of the doubleheader yesterday. So I try not to spoil too much. There were some pretty nice races in there. So if you have the chance, you can go back and watch the VODs. But yeah, this will be the winner of this will go on to face Jet in the second round of the bracket stage. I'm joined here with Hub. Hub, how are you doing today?
I had to get back on to that, but I'm looking forward to this race more particularly because it's been a while, and I definitely would like to see some more speedrun in action.
Absolutely. This is going to be a good one. Whenever you've got a game three in these tournaments, you know that the runners are going to pull out all their tricks. They're going to maybe see some interesting risks based off what they've seen from their opponent. So yeah, there's always a lot of excitement in these game three settings.
Sometimes the knowledge of what transpired in the first two seeds can help out a lot. Like you said before, like picking up on what your opponent's behavior could most likely be, and you can play off of that. Or you can just stick to your guns and see what comes up. As we get a first chest check from home, which is blue goo in the bottle.
Yep, and we see a map check there with Pendant on Tower of Hera and regular crystals on Desert and Eastern. So what weapon are you hoping for from the Uncle? I'm hoping for Fire Rod today. I just like the magic escapes, and the Fire Rod is one of my favorite of the magic items.
I like to think it'll be bow today. Something tells me it's going to be like a limited item. There we go.
Yep, good call. So bow's a nice item because it lets you farm enemies easily, and it's really generally a pretty easy escape because you get to stay at such a distance from these guys. We see a small magic drop there on azder's side, so that does have a bomb in it. So if these runners are able to farm enough guards or snakes, they will be able to get a bomb from that drop pack. So another interesting thing about that bow and the fact that Eastern Palace is a crystal is that the runners will be able to go over and beat that crystal really whenever they want when they have that bow. Sometimes you might want to get a little bit more safeties with more hearts or the lamp or the fire rod or a sword to make them easier, but really you'll see some runners just go right out of here after the escape sequence, go over to Eastern Palace.
Or if you're playing a long game, you want to try to loop in to see if you can loop in Eastern with Palace of Darkness. You'll try to wait a bit, do your zero sphere checks, which is those checks don't require much effort to get into, and see if you can get your items for Dark World access and then work off of that.
Absolutely. There's definitely multiple ways you can approach that. We also saw some bombs in that chest over there with the guard, and that means we're not going to have to worry about farming for any bombs. So the fact that these runners knew there was a bomb in the drop pack, not going to matter too much because they've already got enough to make to the back of that escape sequence.
Yeah, no fear today about worrying about if you're going to get any bombs whatsoever in this run, as we get some guaranteed. And I feel like that's always a welcome sight to see at the very start. Like, you get it, open the chest, get some bombs, and then you're practically set for, at the very least, for the back of the escape and two of the Kakariko villages areas that are blocked off that needs them.
Yeah, absolutely. You really want to have you need 4 to do all of the checks in Kakariko, but you can at least check all of them with 3. And if you have 2, you can at least do the 2 5-location checks and then buy bombs. So getting that free 3 bomb pack is really nice because 2 is kind of the least you want to have going into Kakariko.
And from Zelda Cell, we do get flippers, so that could incentivize our runners to start working up some ways to get money, at the very least, to check Zora early. But we'll just have to hold that on the back burner for now. We're still in the early phases of this seed, so we can't really tell what's a good idea and what's not yet.
Yep, for sure. So that one thing about early flippers or glove is you'll oftentimes see runners, they'll put off their South Shore checks a little bit until they can, depending on what their money situation is. If they're already at 500, it won't really affect them. Or if they're really low, they might want to worry about it. But if you're in the middle, like 300 to 400 rupees, you'll see runners kind of do more checks before South Shore, especially Eastern Palace, because they have that rupee room in there where you can collect 90 rupees. So definitely can weigh, those early flippers can weigh into the runners' minds thinking about that Zor money.
So making our way to the back of the escape, which is I like to call like phase 2. We already pulled up map, didn't we? It could be a Dark Cross, if not.
Yeah, I can't remember if we got the map. We do have the key already.
Yeah, thankfully enough, getting the key is a requirement here. Otherwise, we couldn't complete this. We couldn't complete this sequence. The seat would literally be locked out.
Yeah, sometimes it'll come as late as possible in that Dark Cross chest, but we see the map is in there, so we know the back of Escape will have 3 items for us today.
And with the guaranteed bombs, I feel like this is gonna have our progression, one progression or something of the sort at the very least. At least I hope so.
Yeah, the runners have gotten some decent stuff, getting the bow, the flippers, and also that bottle lets us check sick kit, but there's definitely still a lot of room to get more items.
And we got money, a piece of heart, and more money. Okay, so that's not entirely bad. Having more money at the start can definitely help you out a lot, because you still want to go to the bottle vendor. That's like 100 rupees for that check. And hopefully get some more money along the way, most likely in Blind's Hut and as well as Kakariko Well, to get more bombs, or at the very least see if there's like a 300 laying in there or somewhere to get started on for the Zora trip.
Yeah, because you want to have at least 50 rupees going into the Blind's Hut or Kakariko Well, because there's 50 rupees just sitting around in those 2 locations. And these runners hadn't had any rupees to this point, so if they wouldn't have gotten the ones there, then they would have kind of had to hope for either tree poles or the Lost Woods checks to have some rupees, or the blinds in Kakariko. Normally you'll get enough for the bottle vendor, but every once in a while you just don't get enough money, and it kind of sucks because you have to come back and do them later.
Yep. And here we get our divergence. We see Ack going to South Shore for their first set of checks. Meanwhile, azder is doing the Lost Wood check. So we're gonna see a lot of checks and see where our progression goes as we get 10 arrows from the Thieves hideout.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised seeing Ack go down to South Shore. I'm wondering if he's maybe going to go Dam to Agina, because you don't if you have the flippers, or maybe you could do the flippers check starting from over by Eastern Palace, because you're probably not going to want to do your flippers checks with 71 rupees. Normally people will do them when they're over by the South Shore, but definitely different strategies. Just seeing 20 rupees over in that dam, and yeah, as Ack's going to go over, figuring with those flippers you can not have to worry so much. It makes more sense to do them with the South Shore when you have to do the fake flippers, because you kind of have to set it up from down here. But with the real flippers, you can just set it up over by that drop down by Eastern Palace, kind of whenever you want.
Crab Prize is also one rupee, so it's not going to really help our runners out that much as far as amassing wealth. But Blind's Hut, we get 2 more bottles, the boots, and a piece of heart. Those boots are going to come very, very useful later on in the run as we get some wild checks going on with gloves and magic powder on the mini Mort's side from Ack.
Yep, those are definitely some good checks. Love to get those boots early, let you go really fast. So Ack will probably feel a little bit bad when he sees those, having elected to decide to put Kakariko off till a little bit later. But he'll probably get those relatively soon. And also that glove he got over there, pretty helpful as well. And we see the fire rod there in that well. So we've got a lot of pretty loaded early game checks so far.
And eventually our runners will crisscross each other's paths as we get a mirror, 20 more rupees, and 10 arrows from the Kakariko Well. This is so far shaping up to be pretty generous as far as as far as getting the items going. Mirror is definitely what runners will want to have very early in the seed, because it allows them to get back into the entries of dungeons, as well as moving in and out of the light world and dark world without having to worry so much about where their routes need to go and whatnot.
Yeah, it's definitely a really nice item for getting around. It also can open up some of the locations that you get with the mirror. They're really annoying to go back to if you get the mirror late. So getting the mirror early makes routing them in a lot more convenient. Axe showing off a bit of game knowledge there, using that water portal to basically do the South Shore checks into Kakariko. So that's a pretty nice decision there. He'll get his boots and all the rest of the stuff that's in Kakariko.
Yeah, it's a very, very great way to segue into getting to the rest of the first zero sphere checks. But yeah, I feel like azder is gonna do the same route as well. Like after they check the library and the maze race, they're gonna go to South Shore and then work from there.
Yeah, so I think with the Fire Rod, it may make him consider doing Eastern Palace more, because they're only at 100 rupees. And with the flippers, Zora is in logic, so you may consider putting that off until you have more money, though. It's definitely a perfectly good play to go over to South Shore as well, especially with those boots, because then you can set up the water walk from Ice Rod Cave and get to dash over to the hobo instead of having to swim.
Yep. As you see here, it seems like azder is just going to go straight to the Eastern Palace. And like you said before, this is a good idea to do. Just a lot more checks, get a crystal dungeon out the way immediately, and there could be more money in there to be had, especially in Saha's closet, which we're going to check in a moment.
Yeah, and like we mentioned earlier, you do like to combo this in with Palace of Darkness, and having already gotten that mirror, you may be thinking about that and perhaps want to delay it. But there's also the school of thought where it's just a crystal you can folk clear. Yeah, maybe you'll lose a little bit of extra time if the hammer is somewhere out in the overworld, though we've seen most of the places, and looking like the hammer or something leading to the hammer will be over in Eastern Palace.
Yeah, it feels like that would be the case. We're missing Hammer and Moon Pearl for our Dark Road access. Or, if this seed is very mean, it could just give us Lantern, Moon Pearl, and no Hammer whatsoever. And we'll have to start doing some wild goose chases to see if Agam 1 is actually required.
Yeah, and azder not even having that first glove, yeah, definitely not he's not that close to Dark World access, so makes a lot of sense to just do this crystal as quickly as possible.
We get the big key early.
Yep, and with that big key there, so we know that the boss of this dungeon will be in logic, because they're playing with the advanced logic, where dark rooms are in logic if you have the fire rod and there's a torch in that room. So the dark room with the Igors will be in logic because there's a torch there. The dark rooms leading to the vanilla big key chest are not in logic because there's no torch there. So if there's an item over there that azder likes to get, that would not be in logic.
Something I would just not realize that over at Axe side, that bug net is French vanilla.
Yeah, just getting that from the sick kid.
If you don't get a bug net in your seed, what are you speed running in it for?
Yeah, with those 3 bottles, they could even put it to use at some point. Maybe sequence break Spike Cave or something.
Sequence, yeah, safety strats, sequence breaking. I mean, they got the appropriate stuff as we get a cape, as I think that's our item number 1.
Correct, and that cape in this particular scenario, so when you see the cape early, you're wondering, okay, is this just a cape that happened to be placed in an early location? Or was this cape placed early because we're going to have to do Aghanim? Because you need either 2 swords or the cape and the sword to do Aghanim. And with where azder's at, having 0 items towards Dark World access, and granted, that's his first item towards Aga access, so to him it's kind of a wash, but definitely you're thinking about that when you're getting the cape this early after doing about 60% of your light world checks.
Yeah, it could be a little bit worrisome. Though, worst case scenario, I feel like they'll exhaust going into the Death Mountain first before doing Aga in this situation, should nothing else come up here.
Absolutely. You don't want to go to Aghanim without the Moon Pearl unless you're for sure or really, really want to gamble that Moon Pearl is going to be on the ledge.
So we got Ack following the traces of azder here, and looks like he has the same thought process. Go ahead, clear crystal dungeon number 1 as soon as possible.
Yep, and azder putting that blue potion to good use to get some magic to fill the fire rod, make this room, which can be a bit scary if you don't have a sword in the dark, into a really easy room. And already having another red potion, so not even have to worry about early game safeties. Those are nice bottles where they just make some decisions really easy.
Yep. Some very, very good safeties. More likely, since they've used the blue potion already, I think their idea is that if they come across another fairy, they'll just use the bug net and have that as another assured safety.
And azder doing a pretty good job on those popos with the bow. It can be you're so used to having a sword here that you're not necessarily used to it, but did a pretty good job there.
And here we are in the first fight with Armos. Looks like they're setting up for the quick kill.
Very nice job there with the quick kill on azder's side.
And 15 minutes in, we gotten our first crystal. Armos only giving us 20 more rupees. So it looks like with all these gains of rupees, it feels like Zora definitely is going to be the next play after Death Mountain because they don't have enough just yet for it.
Yeah, because azder needs to still get that glove if he wanted to elect to sequence break Death Mountain without the lamp. So he's definitely got to go South Shore first, and then he probably will do some of the flippers checks with his because he'll be able to set up a nice water walk from Ice Rod Cave. But yeah, then he's going to be kind of faced with a choice because you basically have Agina and I don't know. I'm kind of drawing blank. Oh yeah, Agina and Bonk Rocks, I believe, are the only things that are left once he's done with the South Shore and the flipper checks.
South Shore flipper checks? Oh yeah, I was going to say Waterfall Ferry, but that's part of the flipper checks anyways.
Yeah, and these runners are going to have to get progression somewhere because we know they don't even have the option to do Aghanim yet without the sword, and they don't have the lamp, which it's logically required for Aghanim, though, with the fire rod. You could see runners, if they are down to one location, maybe they'll have to skip a lamp, just figuring that it's more likely that it's the lamp than any other progression item.
Well, one thing to note, if I'm not mistaken, you could still do the... Oh, wait, no, you don't. You still couldn't do Agina. I mean, you couldn't still do Aga because you need the sword to slash the curtains away. I was going to say you could do it with the bug net, but then I realized you still need the sword anyways to begin with.
Yep, unfortunately, you have to be playing swordless mode for the rare, logically required bug net to defeat Aghanim. And we're seeing Acktheboker going to show us that rupee room over here in Eastern Palace, taking advantage of that lit torch, because this room can be annoying to collect them in the dark. So definitely nice to get those 90 rupees, perhaps thinking about setting up a hula hand later to get enough money to do Zora.
Yeah, the knowledge of knowing where free rupees is located at is definitely a great thing to have. As we get a lantern already in the Waterfall Ferry, this is looking to be an Aga seed.
Yeah, definitely. So that lamp it does at least give us some logical checks on the mountain. So now we will be able to save the old man and do inside of Spectacle Rock Cave, along with top of Spectacle Rock Cave and Tower of Hera. So, and there's Arcane of Samaria on that ledge. So definitely going to want to go get that. But yeah, definitely really close to an Aga seed, only needing a sword to be able to get into that dungeon. Though you'd probably want to get a Moon Pearl before you think about doing that, unless you're down to nothing else.
Yeah, and that looks like as there's electing to do the Zora check much later, which I think I can agree on this play. Like you just want to get the other checks out the way before you do the big money investment, which could lead to absolutely nothing or could be our huge progression.
Yeah, and if that does have our progression, so the only way he'd really get punished if there's something like a medallion or something that's needed for this game but not needed eventually. Because if there's progression like the hammer or the moon pearl on Zora, he's going to get forced to that location relatively soon.
Yep. And hopefully Death Mountain will lead him towards there as we get our sword. So we're missing Moon Pearl, and that'll be the sign of we're forced to do Aga, but that is unless we come across the hammer.
Yep, so now Aghanim is officially in Logic. So these runners, you see Azder going up here. He has his boots. He's thinking about doing Aghanim at some point. So if there's something like the hook shot up here, you just go and beat Aghanim right away. But there isn't, so probably going to see him go up to the mountain first. And it looks like Ack is going to follow him to that same Lumberjack plus mountain area. So we'll see what the old man is giving us. We've still got a few more checks up here after that, but we probably would like to... It could be a Moon Pearl on the pyramid-led situation, but you got to expect that there's going to be either the Moon Pearl or some other sort of progression up here. And Ack not having the lamp's going to do this in the dark. Probably he's at 312 rupees, so he's probably wanting to put off that Zora area until he can get another 200, maybe hoping there's some money up here. There we see a Master Sword up there, which will be nice to get.
Yeah, added damage, but that's also just further incentivizing that Aga could be required here.
And you definitely would prefer to do Master Sword Castle Tower versus Fighter Sword Castle Tower.
Yeah. Well, but another sword is definitely a welcome sight because that's put you one step closer to getting your tempered sword, which will help doing the boss fight early in the seed very, very easily, as well as making Ganon not that huge of a pain to deal with.
Absolutely. You'll have to have that tempered sword. We are playing with hard item pool today, so the tempered sword is the best sword we'll be able to get. So if you're not familiar with these tournament settings, we have hard item pool, which takes out some of the items you can get, like the fourth sword and the silver arrows, and you're capped at 14 hearts, and you can't get any armor upgrades. So those items are still all placed in the game, but if you ever were to encounter them, like say you already have 3 swords and you encounter a 4th, you would just get 20 rupees.
Yeah, we are hard capped here on certain items and upgrades, so that's something to take into consideration. So having more hearts is definitely a good idea to have in this sort of situation, and it just makes I wouldn't say it makes things a lot more harder, but it makes going into Dark World a lot more harder, especially if you're like on 5 hearts as our runners are now.
Yeah, absolutely. You can have some pretty difficult early Dark World fights. So it is nice to get, though they did get some nice bottles to help make some of their traversing this world easier. So we still need one more item here in the Tower of Hera, having gotten that key. So we're in a 50-50 situation here to see if we're going to have to go into that basement. Either Moldorm has our item or it will be in that basement. And it's the compass, so we'll see if these runners decide to go into the basement. Now, they only have a few locations left, so it definitely makes a lot of sense, especially since one of the items they're missing is the Moon Pearl. Sometimes if you're missing like one item from Dark World and it's the hammer or glove, you'll be a little bit more okay skipping locations, but when it's the Moon Pearl, yeah, you just don't want to risk missing that.
Yeah, I agree. Skipping out on items now would be a very bad idea. Get this out the way. Hopefully you'll get your hammer here. And if not, then oh well. That's just another check out the way. You will know your opponent will be doing this as well because this is very early in the seed, and with the way how this seed is dictating, both runner, you'll feel like your opponent will not be gambling on skipping out on this check as well.
Yeah, because Acktheboker just has those flippers checks plus Agina, whereas azder really only has Agina left plus Zora before we're into the Moon Pearl on the Pyramid Ledge situation. And there's our hook shot. So that'll give these runners a nice, so that's another thing. Normally when you're doing Aghanim, this hook shot is going to give them a couple of chances to not have to do Aghanim. Going over to Paradox Cave, you'll get about 7-8 checks over there. But it also is another thing that you often get in Aghanim seeds because it gives you access to the West Dark World from that pyramid.
Yep. And those checks are pretty chunky, so hopefully they'll get their Dark Road access from here.
Yeah, I'm sure both of these runners are hoping to avoid an Aghanim seed here, so we'll see if Paradox Cave is going to give them any help. First two chests we saw here in Paradox, just some bombs. We'll get a look at the real meat of the Paradox Cave with these 5 checks, just seeing some rupees so far. Half magic, nice to have, but not going to help us get anywhere. And then, yeah, just more rupees. So it's down to just Spiral Cave at this point, or else azder's going to have to go back to some of those one-off checks. We'll see if he even elects. I mean, with the Moon Pearl, you're more inclined to be thorough, whereas if they were just missing the glove, you might see an early Aga risk. But with the Moon Pearl, I mean, Agina could have the Moon Pearl, Hobo could have the Moon Pearl, Zora could have the Moon Pearl. So just going to be a rough series of one-offs if Spiral Cave doesn't bail us out here.
Yep. Azder did just use the fairy. He could have caught that for the next safety.
Yeah, I think if he had there's our Moon Pearl. So very nice. That still doesn't keep us away from doing Aghanim, but it at least keeps us away from Aghanim for Moon Pearl. So you may see azder just elect to do Aghanim right here because, yeah, now that you have your Moon Pearl, you have your hook shot, there's a lot of stuff you can do in the Dark World. It's not that likely that you're going to find the hammer or second glove on one of those 3 checks you've orphaned. So just make the gamble, go right to Aga. It's not even that much of a gamble because those other checks, they're kind of annoying to check, and you'll be able to check them at better times.
Yeah, you'll check those in a better situation, or when you're going into the Light World, Dark World, like you'll be able to route those in a little bit more effectively compared to just doing them one-offs and then getting nothing off of it.
Meanwhile, Ack is going to make a different decision because he has not done the Zora's domain location yet. So he's going to go over here, set up a Houlihan by pushing this and then bombing himself down this wall, which will make the game not know where to put him. So it'll put him in this rupee room so you can collect some rupees to be able. It's really useful if you want to get money to do the Zora check. So you'll probably see him go over to do the flippers checks he hasn't done yet. So we know he'll get his. This is also for Ack. He doesn't have the lamp yet, so this also makes a lot of sense given that Aghanim is not in logic for Ack yet because that lamp is in the waterfall cave. We'll see if either Hobo or Zora has anything good. Azder will probably get over to the Hobo relatively soon. It's nice to use the mirror to check him from the Dark World. But that Zora check would probably have to wait till Azder likes to do Catfish with 500 rupees. And just a heart piece from Hobo today.
So, do you think the hammer will be on Zora, or what other item you'll think will be on there? Will we get scammed today?
You know, I'm feeling like it'll be a scam. It would be huge for Ack if he were to find the hammer here, or even some other progression might be. It depends on when Azure would get forced over to the catfish area, because that's really the only other time he'll go over to that. But I'm thinking this is probably an Aghanim seed. It just feels so much like an Aghanim seed with the items they've got. I do not think Zora's going to bail us out. Yep, just some really overpriced bombs here today from the Zora. I have not been counting blue balls over here on Azder's side, but it seems that there's been a decent amount of them so far.
Give me a moment. I'll grab that.
Ack's going to make his way through the Aghanim tower climb. We'll see how many more blue balls Azder gets and how close Ack's going to be able to get to Aga before he finishes this fight. All right, down goes Aghanim over on Azder's side. We'll get to get our first look at the Dark World. There's a lot of different spots in the Dark World open to them. They can, not full clear pod, but they can dip it. It's a pendant. You don't need to full clear it. We've got a red crystal on Skull Woods and Misery Mire, and then another pendant on Swamp Palace. So we'll see. Looks like Azder's going to go north because he has that hook shot, so he can go. You don't really want to go into pod without the hammer right here, especially when you've got a lot of checks over on the west side. But the problem is it's just such a long loop, so you definitely want to be thorough because you don't want to have to come back this way and come back to the West Dark World from that pyramid portal. And we've got 300 rupees there in King's Tomb. Nice for Azder, has not done Zora yet, so whenever he elects to do Catfish now, he can combo that in with the Zora check. And Ack's going to make a lot of use of that half magic to get through this Aga Tower climb. Really can one-shot those enemies and make it a lot quicker. Just a single arrow over there on Graveyard Ledge, so not going to need that unique item today. All right, looks like Azder's gonna check Bumper Ledge real quick. Having that cape, we'll be able to get this item if there's anything nice up there. Looked like just a heart piece up there, so not gonna need to get that. And Azder, having that Fire Rod, has the ability to full clear Skull Woods. A little bit low on health, but has a red potion, so we'll be able to be a little bit safe in that fight. Also, the half magic makes it nice, and this is a fully completable crystal, so definitely want to go do that. We'll see Acktheboker have to deal with the Blue Ball Wizard over here before he gets into his Dark World. And we've already seen one of the items in Skullwoods over in the front with that heart container. There, a lot of times you'll see runners elect to do this back to front, though it definitely makes a lot of sense when you come in here with low hearts. You might want to check the front first, just because you might get something that makes the moth fight a little easier. And there's our flute, which is a really nice item to get right here now. With them having the mirror, azder will be able to activate that flute as soon as he goes down into the Village of Outcasts. Also has gotten both items in Skull Woods, so not going to have to bother with this Gibdo chest or the bridge chest in the back. Meanwhile, Ack has defeated Aghanim, is going to go into the Dark World. We'll see if he elects to make the same decision that azder did. It would make a lot of sense considering there's a fully clearable crystal over here. But some runners may elect to dip a pendant pod early because you can't beat the boss, but you can still get most of the items. And yep, looks like Acktheboker gonna follow the same path azder took. Not gonna go up to Catfish or dip into Pod. Just gonna go over here, do these checks you can get to with the mirror, and then probably go right into Skull Woods. Azder going to drop down into this blind fight. Having the Master Sword and the half magic will be helpful here in this fight. I definitely don't like to deal with Fighter Sword Mothula. Only having the 7 hearts can be a bit risky, but makes very quick work of there. Really good fight there by Azder using those Master Sword spins and the Fire Rod. And he'll collect his second crystal here at 35 minutes.
Saw that as I came right back in. Thank you very much for waiting. That was an excellent play from there. Mothula low percent fights are very hell to deal with, but half magic helps out a lot.
Yeah, I got able to get in some nice spins on there up on the top, and also got all the items out of Skullwood, so now can go right down to Village of Outcasts, activate the flute, do whatever checks over there. Thieves Town, they can clear out Thieves Town, but without the hammer, it's often a risk to go into there. Though sometimes you'll start thinking, okay, what do I need for Go mode? Because if you're like hammer and one other item from Go mode, sometimes you'll go into Thieves Town and just be perfectly fine leaving that hammer behind because it can really only be one item. But these runners are still going to need the Ice Rod, they still need the Titan's Mitts, and obviously the hammer, and then they're going to need between 1 and 2 medallions depending on what Turtle Rock and Misery Mire are locked by, so there's still a decent amount of items to go. And we're going to see Acktheboker do the more standard route when you have the Fire Rod, doing Skullwoods back to front. Unfortunately for him, this is not a Skullwoods where back to the front works because both the items are in that front area. And no luck getting sometimes when you see as you're doing all these checks outside of Village of Outcasts before going into Thieves Town, kind of hoping that you'll get your hammer. It definitely makes a lot of sense to go in here without the hammer, given that they still have no decent Dark World axes. They don't have a Titan's Mitts or the hammer. So getting back here, they'd have to do the loop around. So it's more likely that you would get punished by doing checks and by skipping this and having to loop back around later than having to orphan that item to the big chest. So making the calculated risk to go in here. Getting a Bombos tablet so far, which may be needed, but isn't anything particularly useful right now. And then we see 2 items. We'll see if azder elects to go to the back as well. Looks like he is going to, not having, perhaps if you get something that would steer you away from going back here, then maybe you would leave. But honestly, at this point, the main thing that would give you other options is the hammer, and then you just clear it out anyway. Meanwhile, Ack is going into his blind or his moth fight. Definitely going to want to use that fire out as well. Getting a little bit unlucky with this mothula pattern, so we'll see how he's able to handle it.
Oh, there we go. I was about to worry for a moment.
Yep, able to deal with that fight pretty nicely at the end. So Ack collects his second crystal. All right, there's our third item in Thieves Town. So we just need one more, and we don't even have the small key yet. So looking pretty decent odds that we will not get the item in the big chest, but you never know. Amir definitely helping out routing this front of Skull Woods here for Acktheboker. We did get that small key in Blind's chest, so we are at a 50-50 scenario to see if Blind has the item or if the item is in that big chest. And there's Ack getting his flute, probably going to make the same play that Azder's going to go down and Village Outcast, clear out those items, and activate that flute. And meanwhile, Azder's showing us the blind fight. Doing a nice job so far. If you practice this fight, a blind will always do the same thing if you do the same thing. So Azder's taking good advantage of that, able to defeat Blind. Gets his 3 bombs, which not helpful, but very nice to know there is no item in the big chest today. So won't have that lingering over him the whole seed, and collects his 3rd crystal.
Yeah, usually you don't go in Blind's hut without a hammer, but at this point, you need to make the play call of doing these things. So yeah, that's a sigh of relief on his end.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the main cost of those. Whenever you leave behind that chest, is that every time when you're thinking, okay, where's my next item be? There's always that option, and it's just a little bit of extra weight for you the whole seed. Our first look at digging game over here, if the prize ever decides to get dug up. Yeah, chat pointing out that Azder actually did not activate the flute there, which is a bit surprising having the mirror, but he'll definitely get to it at some point. Just 20 rupees up there in the cave on the south of the grove, or cave 45, whatever we're calling that cave today. And that's a vanilla shovel today.
Interesting. And more bombs.
Yeah, at least you got to check that shovel really quickly.
Thank you, mirror.
So one particularly annoying check for the hammer that we could see over here on Azder's side is that first chest of Swamp Palace, because you don't want to make that loop over here again if your hammer or your mitts are in that check. So after we see Hype Cave here, that's definitely a possibility.
Be right back again. I got more important matters to attend to really quick as we get a Titan's Mitts from Pipe Cave already hyped up. Be right back.
Yeah, that Titan's Mitt's very helpful because now we actually have a normal portal into the Dark World, though granted, it's still not that great. We don't have the normal hammer one, so we got one more. That will also give us access to the Misery Mire area, which, depending on what the medallion is, we may be able to full clear if it's Bombos. We can also get to check that medallion. So as you're not going to do that first chest of Swamp Palace, because that Titan's Mitts really gives you more checks. We'll see. He's going to probably be a bit disappointed unless he did activate that flute while we were not watching, because this looks like oh no, he's going to go to Dark Death Mountain first before doing the flute activation into Misery Mire. And this way you get to check the Turtle Rock medallion, because pretty close to Turtle Rock access. We need that hammer before we can get in, and are going to need the Ice Rod to complete it. But always nice to know which medallions you're going to need today to do to finish this seed. And these runners also now have access to Desert Palace, having the Titan's Mitts, Flute, and Mirror. So that's another crystal that's available to be beaten. There we see the Ether Medallion, so just bringing up an even more chance that we will have the medallions we need to beat the sea, which is always great, because those medallions, they can really hide just about anywhere except the dungeon that they're locking. We're getting our first look over here at Hookshot Cave. There is that Ice Rod, so another one of the hide-and-seek champions, and the hammer. So this mountain may be our Turtle Rock Access starter pack, depending on if it's Quake or Ether, because we went from not being able to get in to being able to full clear it just with some fortunate item placement. So we'll see if we can go in there. And yeah, the key was under the doormat, so Azder's going to be able to go right in here and beat Turtle Rock. So that's a pretty big play, especially depending on what ends up being in here, because we may actually be in go mode now. We just need to figure out if we need that Quake medallion to get into Misery Mire. Looks like Acktheboker following a lot of Azder's path, and we also saw Azder showing us a nice little tree pole location. Very little known about that right paw of the turtle. You can get a tree pole from that. And we see just a small key and shield over on the Fire Rod locked side of Turtle Rock. Azder taking a Death Warp there to get a little bit of health back and go back to that first chest of Turtle Rock. That laser being a bit difficult there for Azder, getting him down to 2 hearts. So definitely going to have to be careful in Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock hurts a lot, so you can definitely get in some trouble. See if he elects to try to get that fairy. Unfortunately, doesn't have any boomerangs, but luckily the fairy plays nice and he's able to pick it up. And meanwhile, on Axe side, he's going to go over and get his Titan's Mitts out of Hype Cave, and then we'll see if he decides to make the same decision Azder did, which turned out to be a really good one, with as stacked as the Dark Death Mountain was, or if maybe wants to go check the Mire area to do the Mire Shed real quick, maybe beat Desert and see what the Mire Medallion is.
Terribly sorry for that. I am retired. And I see we're in Turtle Rock already. Did we just have a jet seat already on our hands?
We had a very loaded Dark Death Mountain, having all of the things we needed, having the access for Turtle Rock and the Ice Rod and the Hammer. So we went from 3 islands away from Turtle Rock to almost Go Mode. We just need to figure out, we'll know if we're in Go Mode, we'll know if Azder's in Go Mode in a few seconds here. And that's Bombos there for Misery Mire. So Azder is in Go Mode, doesn't know it yet, but we do know that he is in Go Mode, does not need to get that Quake Medallion.
I feel like I have blinked and just missed all the action today.
Absolutely. That Dark Death Mountain was absolutely stacked. We went from this being it kind of went in waves. The early game, very generous with the items, but then we started to get a bit stingy, and then Aghanim ended up being required. But then once you finish your long South Dark World loop, you go to the mountain and suddenly you're in Go Mode.
See, feels like it's a fair seed in that regard when you think about it. Especially when you have Boots and Mirror early.
Well, we see that mushroom up there on the torch. We know that it can't give us anything too useful, but it's nice to have. There are some locations in this game where fake powders are relatively free, like the pre-Moldorm room or the room right before Vitreous, that you can use if you ever get into a pickle. So the mushroom's still nice to have. Though they already have real powder, so I guess it's not as nice in this situation. And Azder probably doing some extra checks, because for one, he needs that Quake Medallion to be 100% in Go Mode, and two, he's still on Master Sword, so if he were to find a Tempered Sword in one of these checks, he can get a little bit of time saved from not having to do Master Sword Cannon.
I feel like if the case is that if they don't get a Tempered Sword, they're comfortable dealing with Master Sword. Our runners are pretty seasoned into dealing with these kinds of seeds, especially in the advanced item location placement. Absolutely,
runners of this caliber will definitely be able to handle Master Sword Silverless, but you just always like to get that Tempered Sword. It just is so much. It's just so much nicer of a fight when you have that Tempered.
Both of our runners fast approaching their respective bosses. I have to admit, this is a pretty good race so far.
Yep, and we see Quake Medallion over there on Azder's side, so he's not even gonna have to worry about checking that Mire Medallion, knows that he has it.
As they're doing fantastic work dodging the lasers in the laser bridge room. And I didn't even get a chance to comment at dealing with Lamos fantastically. He just finishes. He's not waiting for anyone today.
Absolutely. It's really nice when you have that Fire Rod and even the Half Magic, because you can just fire away. He's able to get them all in one cycle, so very nice.
Fire away. We're going to go back into the Desert Palace, most likely going to do one last check now that they have realized there's probably one more item to acquire here.
Yep, you'll see a lot of runners leave behind these checks in here, and we see an unfortunate death there from Azder, so he's going to have to make his way. Actually, at least he did the big key entrance, so he'll only have to go halfway through this dungeon because he gets to stop here, but definitely a time loss there.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate, and this is... You have the magic powder, you have the bug net. What's stopping you from getting a fairy right now at this point? Like, you have an empty bottle space, that I'm pretty sure of. There's no reason to like skip out on getting a safety along the way, especially if it's not going to be that far off at all.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a race like this against a runner of Axe caliber. You definitely are worried. What if he did? It's not like any of Azder's routing decisions were crazy gambles. It's very possible that Acktheboker would be right on his tail. So these runners always want to go fast, especially in a game 3 like that.
I can understand that philosophy. I just feel like if you're in a situation where a single hit from one of the heads could instantly give you, I feel like you should just, even if you're not going to put a fairy in a bottle, get a fairy out from one of the anti-fairies at the very least and just work it from there.
And we're going to see Ack doing Misery Mire first, which is, for us, we know that's going to be a bit unfortunate for him because Azder will be able to go mode this dungeon. So we'll really have to see where this big key is located, because if it's in a nice spot, then go moding Misery Mire is a lot quicker than we also saw Azder get to take advantage of having half magic there to just kind of shoot that ice head with the fire rod repeatedly instead of having to change items.
Manages to get it the second time. Rhinex goes down.
Rewarding us with a red 20. So Azder's just got to go over and activate that flute and then clear out some dungeons.
Where's flute location?
The flute was in the big chest of Skullwoods.
Oh, okay. I'm guessing he routed Thieves Town and Skullwoods before all this, right? And that's why he didn't went all the way back to activate the flute. That would make sense, right?
Yeah, he elected to not activate the flute when he cleared Thieves Town, because it really didn't give. The flute didn't give any new locations at that time without having commits.
Yeah, that's true. And from Axe side, this may be this is a French vanilla big key here. Having to go through the cutscene chest in order to access this, so we won't be having a Godmire key. I mean. So.
Yeah, that's definitely good for Ack because he was not in go mode when he came in here, whereas Azder will be in go mode when he gets to Misery Mire. So if it was a very nicely placed big key, then Azder would be able to save a lot of time.
Ack doing it. I didn't realize you can clip in through this way. It is really hard to tell how he just did it.
Yeah, that's one of those new door state extension glitches that got discovered about 2 years or so ago when Icebreaker was discovered. It's the same concept where you get Link into the door state and then you use that door state to dash through an object because the door state is not checking for collisions.
It's a rather fun trick to witness.
Yeah, for that one, you got to be pretty confident because if you don't get it in the first try or two, then you end up not saving any time. But Ack was able to get it really nicely there.
Process of watching our runners get into their next boss, do give them a follow in their respective Twitch channels, as well as our restreamer and our tracker today, who are doing a fantastic work of making sure we keep track of all the action, as well as having us the privilege to watch this game 3 unfold, as well as our buddy commentator over here, who's been actually holding it down and doing all the work for me. I mean, I have not been really putting in much info.
Yeah, definitely give these runners a follow. There's no tournament without the runners, and they've been putting on a great show in these 3 games that we've seen. Definitely check out some of those earlier games if you weren't able to catch them on the first restream. And we'll get to see another set of boss fights, just like earlier. We'll have Ack going into Vitreous using the cape with the half magic and the Master Sword spins, makes this fight nice and quick. And Azder's going to go into his Landmolus fight. And welcome to all of the raiders from SpeedGaming 2, who's raiding with a party of 244. So for a quick recap on this race, you'll see Azder has a lot more loaded of a tracker because Dark Death Mountain has all of the items today. Basically, all of the items that Acktheboker needs for Go Mode, Ice Rod, Hammer, Ether Medallion, those are all in Dark Death Mountain. So as soon as he goes up there, he'll get his Go Mode. Azder's kind of been just a little bit ahead the whole race, just from a few nice skips and just a little bit quicker routing. And he's kind of able to compound on it because he decided to go to Dark Death Mountain first, whereas Ack elected to go to Meyer when he got his mitts, and Azder just got his Go Mode essentially as soon as he went up to Dark Death Mountain. And just 10 arrows over there in checkerboard. We'll see Ack still has not done Agina, so gonna do that, and then probably we'll want to head up the mountain. That's one of the more dense locations that he has left, other than those annoying pendant dungeons that you really don't want to go into. All right, we see Ack saving and quitting to the mountain cave. And yeah, gonna go over, get his Go Mode in relatively quickly, go from needing 3 items to needing no items.
Well, nothing like a little crisscross between the runners to actually see where the lead lies. That's what I like to say.
Yeah, I think Azder's got a fairly solid lead at this point, just because Ack not being in Go Mode for the desert area did some extra checks, also did some flippers checks that Azder is probably never going to check. So just a little bit more efficient early game routing from Azder, but definitely not insurmountable. This is Randomizer. We've already seen a boss death this seed, so still things could happen.
Ack is now in his Dark Death Mountain hookshot cave.
Yep, gonna get his Ice Rod here, and then his Hammer in this next chest, and then be in Go Mode.
So he's just gonna throw his hands up, going like, "Why didn't I come here sooner?" So Azder only after this dungeon, Azder only has Ice Palace to deal with, correct? And Ack still needs to do Turtle Rock and Ice Palace at this point. So yeah, this is despite being a dungeon ahead, anything can happen.
Absolutely, he'll be about a Turtle Rock, a little less than a full Turtle Rock ahead of Ack. But definitely anything can still happen. And unfortunately, Ack will be able to Go Mode this Turtle Rock, but Go Mode Turtle Rock, it's not really that special. You don't get to really save that much time. We also saw there's a key on Laser Bridge, so we'll be able to get that. I can't remember where the big key is. It's not in these checks. I can't remember if it was in... No, if it's not in these checks, then it has to be in the vanilla location. So that's where it is. Oh wait, no, remember, there's a key here, so it still could be in the change hunt room. And we see azder get the nice spooky action glitch there to save a little bit of time, activating that switch from the other room. All right, we'll get to see azder do his Vitreous fight using the same strategy that Ack did, where you activate the cape and just spin with Master Sword on these eyes, and you can make pretty quick work of them, even get a few hits on that big eye as well.
Ran out of magic a little bit sooner, but that's okay. Cleans it up with the bow and arrow, and cleans out the rest of the fight.
Yep, nice fight there. Just going to need to head over onto Ice Palace and get his last crystal. So yeah, you can see pretty clearly now that azder is about half of a Turtle Rock ahead of Ack at this point. And with this Turtle Rock, Ack's barely able to save any time with go mode because you still have to go to the big chest because we don't have a key. We might not be able to get past the crystal roller room if you could skip it, but then it's a 50% chance that you get locked out. And seeing a key here, you definitely don't want to do that.
Don't want to do that at all.
And on azder's side, we'll get to see the Icebreaker glitch, which really makes going through Ice Palace nice and quick. It doesn't save as much time in go mode like azder is. It really shines when you are trying to full clear Ice Palace and makes it significantly quicker.
Yep.
So gonna get this Cane of Samari out, do a one frame movement to the left, and then you were able to use your door state to walk through this block like you did just there.
You may find some people do pause buffering just to guarantee that one frame clip.
Yeah, sword buffers are also another common way, like we saw azder doing to make sure you get that one frame. As you're probably going to check these quick few chests on the way just to try to get a tempered sword, but not going to do anything out of the way. And as you're really showing just how fast Go Mode Ice Palace can be, because Ack was already halfway done with Turtle Rock, and azder's already at Cold Stare. But as Ack's going to show us this hammer Trinex over here, and also using the half magic here, because you cannot switch items when there's something exploding on screen, so you can't switch over to the hammer once the Firehead is dead. So we're going to see Ack go for a quick hit with the hammer here. Also, azder doing a Cold Stare fight here, getting that nice spin to get them in the corner, and then using his half magic to really make a quick work of those puffs with the Fire Rod. All right, so azder has collected his 7th crystal, which is when we normally would have our bot running the big key game, but we don't have a bot today. He's still on vacation. So just put your guesses in chat, and you can keep track of the glory yourself. There's 22 locations in Ganon's Tower where the big key can be. So put your number between 1 and 22 where you believe the big key will be.
I'm thinking the big key is like number 8. What do you think?
I normally like to go with 14. Normally ends up in the randomizer room, depending on the route. If you get a key and go hope to compass room, and then you'll end up in the rando room, or if you do the mirror strategy from the Stalfos room, you will end up there as well on number 14. And Ack's going to make his way through Ice Palace, going to get to do nice and quick in-go mode with the Icebreaker glitch, and also having half magic to even make the Cold Stare fight nice and quick. So definitely get ready for a quick clear of Ice Palace on Ack's side as well.
Let's call for bets. Let's call for bets. For the big key, guessing placement.
All right, azder's going to make his way into Ganon's Tower. We'll see just how quick this seed ends up being.
Bets are now closed, gentlemen.
And our first 2 checks, there's our 4th bottle and a green 20. So not in the first 2 checks.
That green 20 might be one of the upgrades. I would like to think it's one of the males.
Yep, could be a male, could even be like a heart container with 11 hearts. I don't know how they achieved their 11 hearts, but if they already collected enough heart containers, then they wouldn't be able to get any more. Also could be our 2nd bow. But we saw number 3 was not the big key, so azder is going to go on to the Stalfos room. Number 4 is a small key. Number 5 is also a small key. And number 6 is 50 rupees, and number 7 is 300 rupees.
Alright, double fireball room should have my big key. No, I did not. Just a 20 rupee. Whoops.
Yep.
On today.
Yeah, not a very. It's a pretty low chance to guess right, so you gotta. Happens to all of us, I guess. And none of these runners do not have any boomerangs this seed, so gonna see azder use that Cane of Samaria there to activate that switch.
I think all the small keys today in Ganon's Tower.
Yep, number 9 is another small. Definitely not going to have to worry about defeating that Helmasaur for the last key. All right, so 10, 11, 12. There's our first boomerang, and 12 is the blue rupee, so still more. Gonna go even farther into Ganon's Tower.
Man, what if it's in Tower Room? That'd be rude.
Yeah, after the seed, it's kind of been bouncing back and forth between being a jet seed and a slow seed, so it kind of would culminate the seed nicely to have it be all the way over there in the tile room. All right, there's our big key. So not gonna have to deal with tile room today. So 14 is the winner. Hey, I get got my number right today. So very nice. And Ack's gonna make his way over into Ganon's tower. It's gonna be kind of hard to save any time based off what Azder did, because you don't normally see full left because you can get locked out. And there's not really, you don't have the option to do full right with no key being on the right side. So for Azder, it's just execution from this point on. I don't know if he has any. He may have a red potion still in one of those 4 bottles, but I know that most of the other ones are empty. Though he does have that magic powder, which will be a nice safety going up this tower.
For their sake, I kind of hope they don't really need to use it, or they don't take too much damage to consider using it at this point. But we'll see how it unfolds, as they are doing great work clearing out the gauntlet rooms so far.
Yeah, doing a nice job. They're normally used to having the tempered sword here, so the red Zazzix can be a bit more annoying because they take 2 hits with the master sword versus 1 with the tempered, though you can hit them into the spikes to KO them. Getting that magic powder out, wanted to be nice and safe here. Going up this tower. Gonna get to see a Lambo 2 fight here with the fire rod. Unfortunately, takes a hit there, so not able to get the 1 cycle. And giving him a short hop too, so gonna have to go for a 3 cycle here. And we are seeing a bit of a different route here by Ack, going over into the compass room. Maybe there's a sword in here, which would be helpful for him, but we know the big key is not over here.
And no dice, unfortunately.
Yeah, having the 3 keys, not worrying about stealing that key. Normally you'll see people go from the compass room down to the end of that portal to get a key, but already having 3, you're not worried about that.
Oh, electing to not go into the wait, did he already did the?
Yeah, he did the Stalfos room already and mirrored out, and then took his key over to the right side. And as you're getting to the end of his climb, we're gonna go check these 2 chests here, just hoping to get a tempered sword. They're right on the way, so getting a nice little heart for safety, which I guess is nice, because with the heart item pool, there's not as many things that can help you, whereas you might be able to get like silvers or a mail upgrade in the normal item pool. I also seen a nice glitch there where that door did not really explode. It did not show itself exploding, but actually was.
Kind of funny when you think about it. Just Link slipping through the cracks.
And as you're going into his Moldorm, doing a great job on it so far, and then able to knock him out really quickly. Just some money there in Moldorm's last possession. He's a little bit richer in this game than he is in the vanilla game, but no sword there for Azder.
So yeah, it looks like they are gonna have to do this with the Master Sword. And hopefully it will not wear them down.
Meanwhile, we're going to see our Aghanim fight here on Azder's side. We actually got to see both Aghanim fights today. Just getting a single there on the first pattern.
For the record, those are some very awful placements for those spins.
Yeah, only been able to get 2 hits so far. This see if he can get the. Oh, Aghanim decided to give him a blue ball, but was able to get that last one in right before Aga teleported away. So nice way to close that out there with the double. Bit longer of an Aga fight than you'd like, but at least he was able to get that double to close it out.
Time to fight the big man himself.
Yep, with the Master Sword, this is going to be a more prolonged fight. The first two phases are more difficult, whereas the fourth phase is really it's just longer. With the half magic and the lamp, there's really not a concern as much about failing the fourth phase. It's just, you got to do what you normally do, just for longer. And it takes 52 spins to defeat Ganon with the Master Sword. Ganon does not take damage from a Master Sword swing. You have to do a spin if you to damage him. And it's 12 for each for the first two phases, 4 for the third, and then 24 for the final one. And you saw Azder holding his spin there until Ganon starts spinning that trident to start phase 2. Very nice there.
Good use of the hook shot to get some iframes to bypass the Firebet's fiery treachery.
Yep, not getting any super great patterns, so just kind of having to go pretty slow on this the second phase here. And we're on to phase 3.
That is hit number 2. Hit number 3.
Now you see Azder getting that lamp ready, wanting to not take any chances with this torch glitch. Torch glitch is really important for Master Sword Silverless fights like this one, and able to get it. So now you just got to buckle up and get 24 more spins. He's already gotten 2.
Good setup for a triple here.
Yep, getting to use that fire rod early. If it gets close to low on magic, you can always switch to the lamp later, but that half magic, really nice to be able to get some triples in on this Master Sword fight. Because when you're doing 24 spins, the difference between triples and doubles can be quite significant.
Almost there.
Yep, gonna switch to that lamp. Should only need about 1 or 2 more cycles here. All right, see if he can get this triple. Probably just going to be 1 more phase now here. If he can get, yep, there we go. Last hit there for Azder. So just got to cross this bridge, and Azder will move on in this tournament to round 2 to face Jet082. So get your GGs in chat here for Azder. And Azder has finished the race with an official racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 33 seconds, that's a nice fast seed when you have to beat Aghanim like these runners did. So definitely a great job from these runners.
Oh, I agree. That's a pretty jet seed to deal with him for Aga 1. Meanwhile, Ack is now doing his Ganon fight.
Yep, gonna have to do the same 52 spins here.
pulls out the cape early, so I feel like once they get into the next phase, they're gonna try to use that as much as they can.
Yeah, I believe Ack may still have that blue potion from the very first chest in the game. I can't remember which one of these runners used it.
Nah, it's probably Azir. Azir.
So he can be nice and just use that cape as much as he wants, knowing he's got a magic refill. Ooh, taking an unfortunate hit there. I can't remember. He still has that fairy in a bottle that I believe that was the 4th bottle that we got in GT that had that. Drinking both potions in quick succession there. But very nice. Moving on to phase 3 here. And actually able to get his torch glitch, so just gotta settle in for 24 more spins here to defeat Ganon.
It's number 3.
Yeah, really nice to get that set up for the triple there when he's in the top right corner is one of the most difficult spots to get, but Acktheboker doing really good job in this phase 4 here. I think we got about 10 more spins left. Should just need a couple more cycles here, and we'll get to see the pig go down on Axe side as well. All right. Yep, down goes the pig on Acktheboker's side. So get your GGs in chat for Acktheboker. Doing a good job to beat the seed. Just needs to cross this bridge here to get his official time. And Acktheboker completes with an official racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 47 seconds. So we'll see if either of these runners want to join for an interview.
Yeah, nearly being like 4 minutes apart. That's a pretty close race.
Yeah, it really just came down to a couple of key routing decisions with azder being able to go up to Dark Death Mountain early and get his go mode relatively quickly. So pretty nice there, but definitely still a close race. So definitely as a reminder, give these runners a follow. They both will they both stream other races, like when you're doing ladder races or practice, and it can be great to watch these runners when they're racing on their own time. They can sometimes give you tips or explain like the sort of plays they're making. It can be great to follow them, and they just put on really great shows like we've seen here today. So make sure to give them a follow. Also, shout outs to our tracker today. Saber UX did a great job clicking the buttons, keeping us on track, made the commentary nice and easy. Shout outs to my co-commentator Hub here. Definitely give those guys a follow as well. Also, make sure to follow the SpeedGaming family of channels, SpeedGaming 1 through 6. They have a lot of other great tournament races. There will be some other races going on later today, I believe. So, yeah, you'll definitely be able to catch that. I'll pull up the schedule. Yeah, looks like we've got another game in 2 minutes here on Speed Gaming 2 of Fear Agent versus Zelgadison. So a really good match, game 1 of that set. So if you're looking for some more randomizer, that'd be a great match to be able to catch over on Speed Gaming 2.
How racers feel about that seed in general, but not sure if they're up for that interview. Not getting no response yet from the looks of it.
Yeah, we'll give them a little bit more of a chance if they decide they want to join. If not, you guys can head on over and watch that other race. Yeah, there's some other races that these runners may have. There's other things on their minds that don't always have time to do an interview. So looks like we probably will not be getting an interview today, but definitely still give these runners a follow. And yeah, if you want, you can check out the other game that'll be going on Speed Gaming 2.
What was going on Speed Gaming 2 today?
We've got Fear Agent versus Zelgadison starting up right now. So definitely more. If you want more rando, that will be on there. And just let these credits roll out so you can see the collection rates for both runners, and then that will be the end of the stream for us. Hub, do you have anything you want to say to close out before we finish up this stream once this collection rates are done?
Nothing too particularly. I'm just really, really hungry right now, unfortunately. So I was suffering a little bit from weakness. But been a really solid jet seed for AGA 1 required for an AGA 1 required seed, no less, like 122. Really, it just feels like I have been blinking, and then all of a sudden, both runners are like stacked full of progression, ready to clean the seat out.
Yep, definitely got the items were all in bunches in this seed. You got the early batch and then the late batch over in Dark Death Mountain. But yeah, thanks again for everyone who joined us today. I've been Dane8373. My co-commentator has been Hub. So we'll see you next time, and definitely check out some other races today.
Have a good day.